One of the encouraging mysteries about the coronavirus is the tenuous grip it has on the African continent. Now, to be sure, there are many scientists who say we're going to have an explosion of the number of cases in the next 3 to 6 weeks, particularly in June, and that may well be right. But for the moment, the virus is moving very incrementally, surprisingly incrementally, across the continent. I mean, take a country like Nigeria, for example. 200 million people, absolutely ungovernable, a kind of maelstrom of chaos. And yet when the first case emerged, they immediately started a lockdown. They immediately started contact tracing right across the country. They established a number of centers of disease controls in various parts of the country. You see, they learned from the Ebola virus. They learned that they had to move with extraordinary speed and expedition. And they don't only have the coronavirus to deal with, they have all the other infectious diseases and something called Lassa fever, which is particularly difficult and already this year has killed 4 times as many people as have died from the coronavirus. And yet Nigeria, a country of 200 million people, has only 3,500 cases and a little over 100 deaths. Quite amazing. Or take South Africa. South Africa, a country of 58 million people, is the engine of the continent, and it's got 7 million people living with HIV. And the moment the first case emerged, they began the lockdown. They closed schools, they closed religious centers, they tried social distancing, and they dispatched 30,000 community health workers all over the country to do contact tracing. They learned from the experience with HIV and AIDS. They learned that they have to move with extraordinary speed in the face of an emergency. And as a result, that country with 58 million people has only about 7,000 cases and 160 to 170 deaths. Compare those African experiences, and other countries mirror it, compare those African experiences with what happened in the United States, where President Trump and his demented thugs have blown everything. Or look at my country, the epicenter of the SARS epidemic. We were absolutely overwhelmed by SARS. We should have learned from it. We did studies about it. We thought we had prepared for anything that would come. And when the coronavirus struck Canada, we didn't have enough tests. We didn't have enough protective personal equipment. We didn't have enough by way of ventilators. And as a result, Canada, with 1/5 the population of Nigeria, a little over 1/2 the population of South Africa, has 70,000 cases, or close to it, and is inching up towards 5,000 deaths. And yet whenever you say to people in the United States or in Canada, Africa has something to teach us, they scoff. And the scoffing, that sort of colonial temperament, they're scoffing all the way to the mortuary. That was last week. I'm Stephen Lewis.